wanted to start a series called Good Talk, and basically it's just me talking about maybe life experiences or thoughts that I have that may be inspiring or may make you think a little bit differently about how things are. Um, Nonetheless, or you might think it's totally dumb. I'm not really sure, and this is my first video doing this, and I took probably 20 minutes just to set up this camera. It's very time consuming to make videos, believe it or not, especially if you want it to look halfway decent. So anyways, good talk. It's spring, there's flowers, there's bees. I just saw a few frogs in my pool. Actually, it was really cool. They're tree frogs, and there's a frog, I guess I'm assuming it's the mother frog, with a baby on the back, literally hugging the mother for dear life. So cute. Anyways, spring is sprung, and I have a story about myself during spring. Now, a few years ago, I got a divorce, and I left the house and I went back to my parents' house. Now, I went back to my parents' house, but it was kind of a bummer, as you might imagine, because I was 30 years old. I had a really good job, at least, from societal standards. 2 kids. I wasn't really supposed to be in a position where I'd move back in with my parents. But that was sort of the scenario, and I was actually lucky to have them nearby because I know a lot of people struggle to find a place to live or have to, move into an apartment that's really cheap and all kinds of stuff. So, I was very grateful for it, but also had sort of the hang up of, oh, this is kind of a bummer. I moved into sort of like a living space, like a living room. We put a mattress on the floor. My mother put, what do they call it, curtains for a door to like the kitchen. So there's no real privacy there. But again, it was a bed, and it turned out to be a good thing for a period of time. And I'll tell you why, because what I found out really fast during that time was I didn't have to go to the grocery store. I didn't have to cook because my mother likes to cook, and I took full advantage of that. I didn't have to go to Lowe's. I didn't have to cut the grass. I didn't have to do sort of, all the responsibilities that we acquire as we get older and we get a house or, whatever it is. I still had to go to work, but didn't have all that other stuff. So it was kind of interesting during the spring. See, my parents, they enjoy gardening. My mother has all these flowers and trees and beautiful, beautiful yard. And one day I was bored, and I sort of just started walking around the yard. And I was noticing all these beautiful flowers. And I took a bunch of pictures, and I'm not a photographer by any means, but I'll share them with you, because I'm sure they're still on my phone somewhere. I'll try to edit them into this video to share with you sort of my, how I was feeling, taking these pictures. And I guess the best way to describe it was I was being mindful. Now, we've all heard about mindfulness, and most of us have at this point. It's sort of a mainstream concept now, which is great. But I didn't really fully experience it until that spring, with that experience of really seeing how beautiful a flower can be, really look at it. I mean, my whole childhood, I just passed all this stuff by, saw it, but didn't really see it. And so, I think over time, I think when we're very, very young, before we stop going into people training, we have that full imagination. We are totally mindful of what's going on. We have this pure wonder of what's going on. That's Hunter. We have this pure wonder. And just little by little, we get used to the wonder. We get used to that thing buzzing, the bee. We get used to that thing buzzing by. We get used to these beautiful flowers springing up every spring. We get used to the ocean, the waves coming towards us. We get used to all these things, and then we start chasing other things. Like, for example, you get your first car, right? And maybe it was like a beat up car. It was totally, old car, had like a standard radio, had that sort of thing. But you loved that car. Like that thing was freedom. And you put in the second, you did your training and all that, but when you got into that car by yourself and you took off, that was freedom. That was the feeling of, wow, this is it. I've made it. And then slowly but surely, like, when you're a kid, you get used to the buzzing of the bees or the chirping of the birds. The car just becomes a car. And then you're looking at other cars because you want to get that feeling again. You really want to do it. You want to feel that feeling of freedom that you first obtained when you had that car. So you get a nicer car. And then what happens after a year? It's just another car. You're just driving another car. And you sort of, to me, you're sort of missing the point. And that's why my last car, I ended up doing it, but I was almost thinking like, well, maybe I'll get a stick. Maybe, because then I'll have to focus on driving. I'll have to be a driver, which I loved obviously as a kid, but now, it's a means to get from point A to point B. And we all sort of, I think during the spring too, we all sort of get the same feeling again in our cars. We put the windows down. We feel the breeze. We some of us like to go for a ride because it's so nice out. Things like that. We sort of get that little, memory of, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. So that was sort of during the spring. That spring, I really became, I guess, mindful. And I started walking trails by myself. And I take my phone with me, and I would notice like the raindrops on like a thorn. And how, when I take my phone and I follow that sort of thorn with all the different raindrops, and it sort of had red in it, almost looked like a dragon's tail. So cool. And again, I have that on my phone. I'll try to stitch it into this just so you get a feeling of what I'm talking about. But that gave me that feeling of life. Like that I could say that the feeling of finding something like that and observing it and finding the beauty of it is probably, or no, not probably, was equivalent to like getting a brand new car. It was like, wow, this is really cool. And in the trails, I'd find these dead trees that were, half falling down. They were all eaten up by bugs. And I found this one tree that just had all these holes in it, and sort of half the tree had fallen down. And it looked like little caves. It reminded me of like a society of different, to me it was like something from Star Wars where you'd see like all these little beings coming out of these little holes, and like, I don't know, whatever. But my point is, like, it's okay to be an adult and have responsibilities, because here I am back, I have a home, I go to Lowe's, I have all these things again, and that's perfectly fine. But just take a moment to a moment, and that's all it really takes. As you're walking by sort of flowers at your home or in the park or whatever, really look at it. Look at the design in the flower. Look at the raindrops that have sort of fallen on the leaves or caught in the flower. Look at the bee that's sort of just playing around in that flower. Just try it. See how it makes you feel. And then apply that here and there throughout your life. And Mindfulness to me is not something that you can maintain every second. And I don't think that's the purpose of it. But I think the purpose of it is to ground you to the fact that, life is simple. Happiness can be simple. And it's not really something that you really have to obtain. It's already there for you to take in. Pick one thing, a bee to watch, a flower to observe, something that is symbolic of spring. Pick that one thing and really do it. Really, really observe it. Really take it in. And let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you like this video, like the video. If you think that you would like this channel, maybe subscribe. I'm going to try to put out more videos like this. I have some thoughts about doing interviews with, the series would be called Good People, and I do interviews with sort of random people, no one famous, no one with any, clout, whatever that means, but people that do good things every day. So I'm planning on doing something like that, and I'm also planning doing like an inspiration series where I share other channels with you that have inspired me, and that are really well put together. So let me know in the comments below what you guys are thinking about this channel. I know this is only the second video on this channel, and I'm trying my best to bring out more content, but it takes some time, and I have a full-time job, and I have a full-time family. So, and I'm working on it. It's trial and error. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you actually made it to the end of this video, I am very, very humbled by that. Thank you for taking your time to watch this. Well, my first video, I sort of said I was going to do a $20 giveaway every 2 weeks. I am going to announce the winner of that first week, but YouTube has some sort of regulations that you can do giveaways, but you have to have some certain things in place, and it's a little bit complicated. So I'm working on it. I'm working on figuring out how I can continue to do this, but I'm going to pause it for now. I'm going to give announce the person who won from last week, because I said I was going to do it, and certainly those people that subscribed and did all that, and I appreciate it. And you deserve to get the $20 that I promised, but I can't continue it as of right now until I sort of get all the YouTube rules and regulations in place and I start doing it the right way. I didn't know there was sort of restrictions on that. I just sort of started the channel randomly, and yeah, so I'll work on that. And in the meantime, I hope you enjoy the content that I put out. Thanks for watching.